Welcome back to the Last Week This Week podcast. I'm Ian Scott.
And I'm Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we talk about nerd culture stuff from the past week and this week. And we have a ton of stuff to go over with you. Definitely stuff from CinemaCon.
Mostly only from CinemaCon, to be completely honest.
That's where all the important news dropped this week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we're recording this halfway through the week. So all the Universal and Paramount stuff we aren't going to have mentioned.
Right. But, you know, even Disney didn't drop like a ton of exciting stuff today.
No.
So probably nothing crazy from them.
But we'll have timestamps for this episode. So, we're going to talk like Kraven, Flash, Aquaman, Dune, and then we're going to do a hypothetical. And
yep.
we're going to be reviewing the
first 3 episodes of Titans Part 2 of this season.
So that'll be at the end.
Yep.
And a quick reminder, we do have free stickers that Ian's dad made. They're very nice. They're just the logo. So if you would like one, we'll send
them to you for free.
Yeah, we'll send them to you for free. You don't have to pay anything. Just email us at LastWeekThisWeekPod@gmail.com. Good to go.
Yep.
So we're going to just jump in to the first topic, which I'm pretty excited by this news, to be honest. So this is we're talking about Kraven, which is was from the Sony
universe
presentation. Yeah. Sony, what?
I just said universe.
Universe. Okay. I thought you said Universal. I was like, they did it. But yeah, so Kraven, I guess they showed footage, and I think they talked a little bit about it. So if anybody that doesn't know, Kraven is a predominantly Spider-Man villain.
Mm-hmm.
And since Sony has their Spider-Man-less movie universe, that maybe we'll have a Spider-Man at some point.
Maybe.
This is the next movie up in it. And we got I feel like really cool information about it, which is that it's going to be R-rated.
Yep.
Which I have thoughts about concerning other Sony movies.
I guess I'm just shocked that they're now realizing that the R rating is a good thing. Like I feel like it should have been on Venom. That's what I'll say. Like Venom deserved an R.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they're finally changing their tune about movies on R ratings.
But you know what needed an R? Well, it didn't need to be R.
Morbius, yeah.
But
yeah.
I feel like that was
needed
maybe one of
the
main, because it needed blood.
Yeah.
And I don't know if the blood, like not having blood, like if that changed, like if it had blood, that it changed it to an R or something.
Probably, yeah.
But if there was a movie that did need it, because I still feel like you could do Venom without the R. Obviously, I would have preferred the R.
Yeah, I just think it hurt it, the original movie, you know?
But I think it's cool that I just think it's weird that it happens for Kraven and not these two other characters that are...
I mean, Morbius isn't that well known, but you would expect like a Venom movie to get the treatment, that Kraven is getting now.
Sure. Yeah. But like at least like with Morbius, it's a literal vampire.
No, I feel you. Right. Yeah.
So
like he needs it.
It could have used the bite for, not to be cheesy, but
right.
But other information is it's going to be heavily grounded in the real world, which I'm sure it will. But with this other information, it's obviously not necessarily going to be, because we also got to. I don't think this will be a spoiler, but if you really don't want to know anything about this movie or anybody that's going to be in it, like just listen to this bit. You can skip forward in a couple of minutes. But so Rhino's in it.
Yeah, and he's going to be like shape-shifting into an actual rhino, right?
Yeah, it said that they were injecting themselves with a serum, and then he said, like, don't you want to know why they call me the Rhino, as his arm turns into a giant rhino arm.
Interesting. That's a neat take on it.
Yeah, I don't I much prefer the sound of this than fucking Paul Giamatti's
Amazing Spider-Man 2 appearance. Yeah.
Mech
suit.
And obviously, like, this isn't the this sounds more like an Ultimate universe sort of version of a Spider-Man villain, where like I remember when those comics were coming out, they were making all the characters more like all of their abilities, like you would see it with the Green Goblin, like instead of him being like in like an insane person wearing like a goblin mask,
he's like actually a goblin.
Yeah,
right.
So it feels like more in line with something like that.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
I mean, if all you have is like Rhino, like turning it, like I'm just wondering, is there going to be other characters that could potentially be taking serums and turning into, or is this just like that's just Rhino's thing?
Right. Yeah, I think other than that, I think the brutality I've heard of this character in the comics, I'm excited we're really going to be seeing that like in this movie. I wish it was with Spider-Man, but I mean apparently I guess where I'm going with this is that the footage we saw or was shown at CinemaCon was just like a minute long scene of Aaron Taylor Johnson in like the full vest and suit, and he was just ripping up a military convoy in a super bloody fashion, and
apparently biting somebody's nose off.
Wow, I didn't hear about that, but that's great. So yeah, I mean, I think everything is sounding super positive about this. Everything's going in the right direction. It's really, really hard for me to trust Sony because they have now put out like 3 stinkers in a row, and it's just not looking good for them. But you know, we'll see with this one.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued, especially because it's described that this Kraven is a protector of the natural world, and he's literally like attacking poachers. So since he does have this like cheetah or leopard vest apparently on, I want to know how that works out. Mm-hmm. Like, because you would think like I'm gonna assume he's like the type of guy who's like, he still will kill animals, but he like literally uses every single part of them and is like very respectful of.
Yeah, I guess that's like, funny. Maybe
why would he be wearing animal print clothing?
I didn't realize. Like, to me, he felt like a big game hunter, and not that he would be a protector from the big game hunters, you know?
Yeah, I mean, because I feel that like in the comics, he's more like just after the biggest,
right?
Like,
the biggest prize, yeah.
And then that turns out to be Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which I'm still hopeful that we get Kraven's Last Hunt sort of storyline where he.
Yeah.
But people had theorized that it could be that he like would go after like Venom, because that. In its own way, like would be the
biggest bad guy of this universe,
you know.
Yeah.
Though I don't think it's gonna go that way.
No, I don't think so either. I don't think they're gonna tie in their movies quite yet. Like, I think it'll happen, but it's not gonna happen yet.
But I feel like that's more like they're gonna be like a Sinister Six sort of
for sure
thing. I'm just intrigued that like they really are going rated R.
Yeah, me too. I think that's a great step in the right direction.
And I'm curious if like Venom 3 will maybe do that.
I would be surprised if it didn't, but maybe.
It makes me sad though that like we didn't get it for Carnage, because he's literally called Carnage.
Yeah,
and there was not a whole lot of Carnage in that movie, unfortunately.
But I will say it's very possible they don't do it for Venom 3. Just to keep in line with the audience that has been going to the movie so far, right?
Yeah, I agree. If you don't have anything else to say, then I guess we'll move on to The Flash, which they showed the whole movie at CinemaCon.
The entire thing.
Super jealous.
Yeah, it's insane. The reactions that have come out of CinemaCon from this movie, I've never seen anything quite like it. I mean, it's reaction or take after take of people hyping this movie up as like one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And that's got me super excited. I think everything was trending in that direction. I didn't think it was going to be that amazing, but like even you know, a couple months ago or a month ago, like Tom Cruise called Andy Muschietti and was complimenting him about the movie.
Right.
And I was like, that's big. Like you don't hear about that, in the news much. Where a big actor is complimenting a superhero movie.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the CinemaCon at the Warner Brothers presentation, David Zaslav, who's the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, he was saying that this is his favorite superhero movie
of all time
that he's ever.
Yeah.
Take that with what you will. I did watch some YouTubers that watched the movie at CinemaCon, and they all think it's fantastic, but they're not on
that level.
They're not saying they're like it's not the greatest, but you do have reactions like the Raps, Humberto Gonzalez saying believe the hype. Christopher Nolan movies aside, The Flash is the greatest DC movie of the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And you have like reactions of like Ezra Miller has made mistakes, but they're so good.
I mean, even Andy Muschietti and Peter Safran were complimenting Ezra Miller yesterday, or it was the day before.
One of the very best DC movies. What else? Super inventive. It's got like it's emotional. An all-timer inventive storytelling. So I have heard like a lot about it being like very inventive.
Right.
Apparently from the very beginning, like it just apparently like goes from the very beginning.
It seems like from the trailer that was dropped too for general audiences, starting off with Ben Affleck's Batman, I think everything we've heard from him is being confirmed from this trailer, because the action again looks great. He looks like comic book Batman flying around and like doing crazy action, and it makes me happy to see.
Yeah, and from the people that I that saw the movie that I listened to, they were like, "Wow, this movie made me want that Ben Affleck solo movie."
Yeah,
and it's
because I think Ben Affleck even said that like he finally figured out how to play him in this movie, and I'm like, I mean, bummer it took so long, and it's a bummer that you're not doing a solo movie after this, but hopefully those 5 minutes really blow me away that he's in it, because I think he's only in it for 5 minutes, like screen time.
Yeah, I mean, who? Yeah, give or less, like give or take, but yeah, I mean, we didn't get to see a whole lot of Ben Affleck's Batman, like much more.
No, because I think you'd be showing like the entire like point, of him being in it. But
I feel like it's safe to assume that stuff probably is the first scene.
I would agree. Imagine. It's like the intro of the movie, right? Where him and Flash are doing some superhero.
Because that's what I heard. Like it was. They usually like it's a typical superhero thing where like they have a thing that's not necessarily related to the movie, but it's like an action beat to get you into it. But apparently this one's like very inventive and interesting. So
nice. Like Doctor Strange. I was going to say Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness did it really well at the beginning of that.
But like which one? Because there was two.
I would say him coming out of the wedding and fighting the monster on the streets.
Right. But like there's that one, but the movie literally starts with the Doctor Strange who
Sure. But that's like, I don't know, that's like really throwing you into it. But yeah,
but like that's what I'm assuming. Yeah. Like I'm assuming like it starts off like right there.
Right.
Sort of thing.
That's interesting. I'm not sure it's gonna jar us that much, but
I don't think it's weird to like just start with an action beat right off the beginning. It's been done many, many times.
You're not wrong. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, like with the trailer, I think we got a lot of great action. I know people are kind of like clowning the shot where
Barry.
Like no, I think it like to me it's the shot where like all three of them are like bolting towards the camera.
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
I really like that shot. I don't know what it is. I think it's cool as hell.
I think it's a cool shot.
Yeah.
I think like the suit for Young Barry in the reused Batman suit that's now being reused as a Flash suit. I think it's super cool and inventive.
Right, but I don't see why there's so much hate for it.
I don't have hate for it. It's
a lot of people do.
Oh, well, I just think that it does look clunky and it does.
But it's not. It's like a reused Batman suit. It's supposed to not look good, you know.
I agree. Yeah. I totally get it.
Right. I don't know.
I think it's gonna totally. I'm assuming that it'll win people over when it gets to that. But like, regardless, I still think it looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, it is weird. It is clunky, but I do like. I agree with you. Like, I do like it.
Yeah.
I do like that shot. It does make me wonder. Because we did see in the previous trailer that there's a Flash that is seemingly the same kind of shape as older Barry, but he's in black. And I'm curious if that's still like a completely different person, or if like that the young Barry's something happens with that, or I don't know.
Some people are theorizing that like that could be, or like the thing on top of the bat jet that like destroys it in the trailer.
I thought that was
people like it. I think it is Zod too, but people think it like that, or the, you know, this figure could be like a very heavily edited version of like Dark Flash.
Maybe
that it's just like, you know, for us not to get spoilers of who the villain is. You know,
maybe. Yeah. I literally think that the character that's on top of the Batwing. Because there's there's Feora, and then there's that other Kryptonian that's like the big, huge dude that from
could be him.
I think it's him.
Yeah,
I think
probably. But that action sequence was great too. I mean, but all the stuff with the bat jet, like him, you know, going down without a shoe, and the bat jet being like in the moon, and like that was a great shot. Like I think this movie's gonna have a lot of comic book shots. Yeah, and that's, I mean, I'm totally cool with that.
Yeah. I thought it was cool that we got the Ben Affleck logo, Bat logo, Batman logo. You got the Michael Keaton, then you got a Superman, then you get to the Flash at the end. Thought that was really cool. I think it looks really, at least in the action scenes, like looks
really well done.
It does look really well done, but I think the CGI looks like...
Yes, I'll agree with you. The CGI on some scenes, it looks a little unfinished. Like it needs some more.
But it doesn't bother me. But like I notice it, but I'm like, for some reason it doesn't bother me.
For me, it was when like the bat jet fell and like exploded, I think, and there was like blue flames and whatnot in the trailer. That looked a little rough, but everything else I thought looked pretty good.
Because I'll point to, like, you know, when Michael Keaton's slowing down. And Sasha Calle's Supergirl like comes in, and like it's all a bit, and like even in like I'm assuming the end fight scene, like there's these moments where like her cape looks a little like weird and plasticky, but like for some reason it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
But
I'll say her suit looks great.
Yeah.
I've said it even from the behind the scenes pictures. I love that suit.
Yeah.
I think it looks really good. I don't get, you know, I don't think there's a lot of hate, but I think there's some hate for the suit. I think it looks really good.
So weird that we base so much opinions off of like an outfit a character wears,
right? And not
I don't know if it matters. I mean, it does matter a bit, but
yeah, for sure, an outfit matters. Yeah,
but like I've heard like Black Lightning. Terrible suit, but I heard that the TV show is like great and it doesn't matter.
Sure.
So
yeah, it might not matter at all.
Does it matter a whole lot? I don't know if it does.
Yeah.
We still liked the Michael Keaton Batman, and that suit was kind of weird still.
Yeah. I will say with Keaton, I think like I'm getting a real sense that like we're gonna have a lot of like character building almost with him, like way more than we got in the two movies he did, because I like those. I really do like, and I really like the second one. Not that I'm a huge fan of like 1989 Batman. Those movies focus a lot on the villains, and you know there's not a lot of character development with Bruce Wayne. I think this could be a real like chance to get some like in depth, really good acting from Michael Keaton as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
and I
mean, it's like 30
really
years later. I mean, he's changed some amount,
right? I'm just hoping that we're gonna see freaking Tim Burton's Gotham, man. That's just That's just gonna be the dream for me.
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I think out of all the things that I've heard from people who've seen the movie, there's a lot that they went over.
Yeah.
That we know.
Okay.
And then they said there's so much that we cannot say that happens in this movie.
Because I was like, to me, the posters they put out were very like the main characters of this movie are the Flash and Supergirl and Michael Keaton's Batman. And like all the trailers had those three figures on it. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe this is the whole movie we're getting. Like maybe this is like it's just these three characters and there's not much more depth wise. But I think we are getting a lot more. And maybe this is like I think this is almost what they wanted to do with like No Way Home. When I don't know if you remember what the original marketing plan was for that, but it was supposed to be like Spider-Man versus Doctor Strange. And then like, you know, once you saw the movie, it would be revealed, you know, through watching it that the real villains were, you know, the past Spider-Man villains. But yeah, I think this could be, you know, we could be very easily getting misdirected. And it's very clear to me that Zod isn't the main villain, you know, like I think he's trying to be built up as one in the trailers, but it's like he's just a tool or whatever.
Yeah, And from what I understand, you don't really need to see any of the other Zack Snyder universe movies.
Yeah.
Anything. Apparently, like all is just tied in, like and then explained in a very cohesive way.
I think you would feel like the weight of everything more if you saw Man of Steel at least. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like Man of Steel is going to be a very big movie for this movie. You know.
Yeah. I would say so. I mean, it literally goes back to the the ending
Zod
of that
and first
movie.
Agreed. Right.
I also heard that you know a lot of people were bringing up, does it feel like it ends the this era of the DCU?
Right.
And
I haven't heard that.
Well, because we all were like, does this?
No, I haven't heard that. Like,
right?
Yeah, this is going to end it. I heard it feels like there's going to be a natural progression.
Yeah, all I've heard is it feels like it's winding down.
Okay,
but I don't. But nobody said anything about
right
if it's like a definitive like this is coming to an end.
Yeah, I saw. It might have been the guy Soups on Twitter. I don't know if you know who that guy. But he was saying, because he went and saw it at CinemaCon, that you know it's very clear, like after watching the movie, that like it almost makes sense to him why DC wanted to go with Keaton as like the Batman for their future, because like apparently he steals the show in this movie. Like I said, like, you know, with me wanting like real depth to the Bruce Wayne character he plays, like we're really getting that in this movie, and I think it sets him up for like a longer history after this.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, clearly we're not getting more of Keaton after this, so
well,
we're just gonna have
maybe
to cherish what we
never
got.
Say never.
Sure, it's very possible that if this movie does insanely well, and people want more Keaton, then they'll do a Batman Beyond, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the only thing that I could think of.
And that's what he was attached to. Like, you know, at one point too, they cut that project, right?
And Batgirl.
Sure, but he was in that for like 5 minutes, I think.
I don't know.
I mean, from what I've heard, he was a very small cameo.
But he was still...
Sure, he was in it.
But he was... I mean, as far as I'm aware, like he had like at least one rooftop scene in suit with Leslie Grace.
Yeah.
And there was there was a whole mural made of him like back in the day.
Yeah, I mean,
like
he was like, you know, that movie was going to carry on after the Flash and you know, basically cement him as this universe's Batman, right? But
that we know of.
That we maybe. Right.
Who knows?
No one's ever seen this movie. So, yeah. But
is there anything else from the trailer that like you were particularly like interested by, or anything that like struck you?
Nothing more than what I've seen or talked about. What about you?
I think there's just like one shot of Barry, like his arms are out and he's yelling, and there's some sort of Speed Force thing happening, and it seems very disturbing. That I thought was an interesting.
It's a cool shot,
but I'm just so excited.
I'm very excited. Yeah,
very excited. Regardless of
all the controversies.
I'm just very excited that this movie's finally coming out, and then we don't have to talk about a whole shit ton of controversy as much.
I'm really eating these next few months. Like my favorite properties, and they're reviewing really well. Like Guardians in May and Flash in June. Like, are you kidding me? I'm gonna be very happy these next couple months.
And I think it's obviously, like, it would be cool to have like a solo Flash movie, but I think it's cool that like we're kind of getting like a greatest hits.
But I really do feel like this is really gonna showcase like Barry's, there's gonna be a great arc for him, and it's really gonna be about him. Like I don't think he's gonna get like hidden or muddied down.
Yeah, like I heard like this movie does have Flash be like
he's the main character,
fleshes out the Flash. Like it is still the Flash.
Good, yeah.
So which is good,
and I think Flashpoint is a good story for that. To be honest.
I'm still under the impression that, like, sure, this will be very inspired by Flashpoint, but I think it's going to...
Oh, yeah. It's going to go in a way different direction.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But keeping on with DC, they also... We're not going to talk about... Unless you want to talk about Blue Beetle, because all I know is, like, they showed, like, a 6-minute thing, and...
Yeah, they barely talked about Blue Beetle, so... I'm okay skipping it.
I kind of feel bad for like the 2 DCU movies after Flash, because like, not that I think that they're going to be bad. It's just like everyone's been hyping up the Flash so much, and like they're like, we have these 2 other movies.
They're not going to do as well, right? I mean,
well, I don't know. We'll see about Aquaman, because that's the next thing we're going to talk about.
Yes, yeah.
Which is Aquaman: The Lost Kingdom, which we got our first teaser poster, which really is nothing.
Right. So. I mean, for me, the only real information that we got is that, I think the description of the movie was that we learn Aquaman has a new kid, a very young child, and Black Mantis comes back. And Black Manta. Sorry. That's how well I know my Aquaman villains. Black Manta comes back, and he has a black trident. That's supposed to be like a destroyer of, the ocean or whatever, or I don't know what, but it's supposed to be some villain weapon.
I mean, I guess him and Randall Park's character, who's some sort of doctor, they're teaming up and taking on the surface world. And I'm assuming this black trident has some devastating effects, because there's like giant tentacles attacking a ship. Which maybe is from them. I don't, because we weren't there.
Yeah.
But there's also apparently zombies.
What? Zombies?
That's what zombies, a tropical jungle, the Arctic, and then a massive war on land and sea.
Interesting.
And then also along with that is that it's like a buddy cop movie with Arthur and his brother.
Oh, so they're bringing back Orm? Well,
yeah. So it's Orm and Arthur, and they're like do it like a Thor Ragnarok.
I like that
buddy cop, though. Maybe more buddy cop than Thor Ragnarok.
The actor's name, that's Patrick Wilson. Okay.
Yeah.
I like him a lot, and I think he was a pretty good character in the first movie.
Honestly, he was one of the best parts of that first arc. Like
he was pretty good.
Every single time he was on screen, I loved him as Orm. I thought he was fantastic. And like there was like lines apparently that were like, Arthur was like, nobody gets to hit my brother but me. So it's like one of those sort of things.
I think this could very much be like, and it's not like I've been hearing great things about first impressions of this movie, but like, I think this could very well be like a better version of like Thor and Loki.
Like people were saying that there was like kind of that vibe.
Okay, cool. I think,
but there's also equally like, at least from people that I saw talking about it, was that not terribly like excited about the footage that they saw. Like apparently a lot of it was CGI, but there was a bit of.
I mean, a lot of the first movie was CGI
For sure. They didn't say like it looked bad.
Okay.
It was just a lot of CGI. And I think like the main criticism was not that it reminded them of Quantumania, like that of that quality, but more of like it's just a bunch of stuff to look at, and like they didn't have an impression of what the movie really was about.
I could see people starting to get tired of these really heavy CGI movies. You know,
I think that they will start to get tired.
I just think like if you have,
I feel like they're already getting tired.
Sure, I feel you, but like if you have like 3 or 4 like big ones back to back that are all failing or like not being well received, then I think you'll be forced to as like a superhero movie to, or like the producer like Kevin Feige or James Gunn, I think you'll have to look at your future properties and be like, maybe we shouldn't, like heavily overproduce this and pour a ton of CGI into this movie. Maybe let's like keep things a little more grounded for a universe, Yeah,
I think it was like David Zaslav was talking about like with the filmmakers that they're working with, that his thoughts is let's make the movies that is going to be your legacy,
right?
Which I think is it would seem that they're going in a direction of really just focusing on like quality and like really trying to not like I do think that like yes right. I feel like you're making faces because it's probably like why are they going back to doing Harry Potter and why are they going back to do these other things, but like I do think that hopefully from the way that he was talking about things that they're the most important thing is the story, because like as we've seen with like horror movies in the past, like, and that, I mean, it's kind of the way that horror movies has always been, but low budget, great idea,
right? With great marketing, can make a ton of money, right?
But I think that things with like the MCU, there's lots of different things that you could point at, and also with the DCU, and there's a lot of other movies in the past that have been CGI related. Like if the story's not good, like I'll look at like, what is it, Clash of the Gods, or like
Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, but there was even like there was so many like old Olympic movies back in like the late like early 2010s and stuff that was coming out that was like it was big spectacle like CGI, but they
haven't aged well.
Yeah, like because like it doesn't matter. Like it's the story that ends up mattering. So I'm just hoping that we're like it'll be like if you want to pump the money like to have the CGI, like fine, but like I think it really maybe they'll go back into like a time of like what does it really need? Like what like let even like it can be a down to earth thing, but you could have a down to earth story and still have like massive spectacle. But I do think that people are like they don't really care about the spectacle as
just
much.
Rather have a good story.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I mean the reason I was making a face is because like I think under Hamada, like that was the goal, is that like let's just make quality movies. And I think like at a point they were doing that. But
I don't think that he got like I feel like because he wasn't really the leader, it was still ruled by like a committee.
Sure, that's fair. But like to me, they were putting out like some quality movies. At one point they started putting out bad movies again, but there was no like there's no universe planning. There was no world building, and I think like
they were just focusing on individual stories,
right? And I think what I think is different with this, like yes, they're focusing on quality, but they are like keeping a real, I guess, they're keeping a real thought on on making the universe like work and building a universe. You know, I don't think that's like on the back burner. I think that's like very at the forefront of their minds. You know,
right? I do think that that's their plan for their well-known IP like Harry Potter, DC movies.
Yeah.
But I think in general they're still making a lot of originals and a lot of other adaptations of IPs like Dune, which we'll talk about, which I think is more of what I was getting at. But
right. But I guess I was thinking more DC wise.
I still feel like with the DC stuff though, like they're keeping an eye on making sure it's all connected.
Right.
But I still feel like maybe they won't go so hard into the spectacle unless it really calls for it.
Agreed.
So, which I'm hopeful about with James Gunn, because
we trust him.
I mean, like Marvel has like a ton of money they could have put behind like Guardians 3, and not that like I think Guardians 3 looks incredible.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna say that it looks like
Avatar 2.
Right. Like there's a reason why, like, I feel like because James could have been like, let's have fucking huge shit happen. Yeah. But like he's decided to go with, not that it's small, but it's relatively small compared to like the shit that was going on with like Quantumania and what else? Like Thor and you know,
Multiverse of
Madness, like so.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's a good sign for the MCU that they now know when to like pull back on their budget. But maybe
I maybe put that towards a little bit more of like James
Gunn, right?
But we'll see. Maybe it's true. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I don't know for sure. But I'm excited for Aquaman.
I mean, I didn't hear. To me, I'm not more excited than when I like before I heard this news, because it's like okay, this is just what the plot of the second one's going to be. I'm not thrilled either way, or disappointed on the other way. It's just it's news.
I attribute the Aquaman movies to this fantastical, weird,
underwater part of the DC universe.
Just like because it's just so far removed.
It really is. Yeah.
That it's like, oh, this lost kingdom that Aquaman's gonna have to find, and it's all like this very like we're royalty and him becoming a leader and the blah 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 blah. Like I'm like, it's some fantastic stuff that I'm just hoping
it's an Aquaman plot.
Yeah. I mean, you literally have like a villain who's like got a huge ass fucking
trident. Yeah.
Well, that and
and the head,
big ass head with these
red eyes.
Like he should topple over. Like he should not be able to stand straight.
Now I would have been pissed though if they made the villain not Black Manta, because they clearly set him up in the first movie to be.
Oh yeah.
Like
I mean, he is like he's
the Aquaman villain.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
The Aquaman villain.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see.
Also, along with HBO, or not HBO, but Warner Brothers. There was a first look at Dune Part 2. Yeah.
So I mean, from what I've heard is that this movie starts off like immediately after the first one. They haven't even started. I don't think they started shooting yet, to be honest, right?
They're finished. It's finished? Coming out this November.
Okay, so one of the actresses we're talking about, I guess, they were talking about before they even shot, that like she had only read the script and she was like, yeah, I know this movie's going to be better than the first. Like just from the script alone. And I was
Which
like,
actress?
I don't remember, to be honest.
Do you know what character they're playing?
I don't.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You'd have to look up the quote.
Oh.
But yeah, I think Dune Part 2, like even from what I was talking to somebody who had read the books or like knows about the books at least. And like from what I've heard, that like the Dune we saw in movies is like the first half of the first book, and that what we're getting here is like the meat of book one, and so I guess we're really gonna get a lot more of the world expanded for us. Because from what I've heard is that like a lot of this movie doesn't even take place on any of the same planets that we saw in the first movie.
I mean, you're in front of somebody who's read the book.
You've read the book. Okay, cool. I don't know if you've ever said that to me. I don't think we've ever discussed.
I've read the book.
Nice. Okay.
And yeah, I
so is that everything I just said kind of accurate or
sort of.
Okay.
I would argue that part one is still not even halfway of the first book.
Okay.
But
do you think we're gonna get the conclusion of the first book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
Because like they could have made, book one into 3 movies. Like
you could. That would be a very interesting I could see how they do it, but the way that part one was set up was pretty perfect.
Okay.
The way that they ended it off.
Now, have you read the other books or just the first Dune?
No, I do have Messiah, which is the next book. I haven't gotten around to reading it, but I do kind of know what happens.
Because the person I was talking to was saying that like the second book like can easily
be
like,
a third,
be like, whatever amount of movies can be next, I guess. But that like the third and fourth books go like to an insanely other place with Dune.
Like years later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so, yeah. I think like there's a lot of people who were iffy about the first movie, and I love it.
I love it too.
I've seen it like 3 times.
How could you not love that movie? I don't know, man.
But I understand why.
Yeah.
I mean, people that I'm friends with were like, I don't know what I just watched, and I don't blame them. But like even the director Denis Villeneuve like was saying at the presentation that like it pretty much was all just build up, and this is the action, this is the payoff, and I can say as somebody who's read the book, like it will be that. With what the person who you were talking to was saying that a lot of it happens on other planets. That is true, but I do not think that they're going. It's true that stuff happens on other planets, but not like a majority of the story happens on other planets.
Okay,
like important things do happen,
right?
But the majority of what's important is on Arrakis.
Right.
There are things that happen like on the Harkonnens' homeworld and on I think they still go back to the prison planet, which they get the Sardaukar from. But there's that's like still like the scheming and political stuff and stuff with like the Emperor that we'll see.
Nice.
But like they showed Austin Butler as Fade Routha.
I wanted to talk about him because apparently, I mean he's like the big villain of this movie, right? And
he's one.
Okay.
He's like, I guess he's like, the best way to describe him is probably like the Darth Maul.
Okay.
Cool. He's not.
I've heard I guess from the first looks we got was that he's a very like menacing figure, and I think Austin Butler shaved his head for it. So
I think
it's a very different look for him.
Yeah, like I think they're going with like all the Harkonnens are bald and very pale.
Nice. Yeah, I did hear he was very pale. That's
so he's like described as an expert swordsman and a psychopath.
Nice.
Which that's all I want.
Yeah, that's all you need from a villain. Psychopath motives.
They also showed Florence Pugh as Princess Irulan, which I would love to see the image.
That'd be nice.
But I mean, I think she'll be great.
Yeah.
And we will get a shit ton more of Chani, which is Zendaya's character.
Right. Yeah, she said, I think she joked at CinemaCon that she's like, yeah, I'm not only in dream sequences this time around.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, yeah. Sounds
she
like
will be a huge part.
Cool.
And then we also get to see Paul riding a sandworm.
A practical sandworm.
A practical one, which I'm very intrigued by.
I can't believe. I mean, those are gigantic. How did you build a practical freaking sandworm that moves? You know?
Yeah.
Like, I cannot wait to see that. Because it's the fact that it's practical means it's going to look. I mean, I hope it's going to look beautiful. You know?
I mean, yeah. I don't because the worm that we saw most predominantly in the first movie, that alone was really incredible.
Good. Yeah.
So I don't know
how much better it could get. Yeah.
It'll be interesting. Is it gonna look like that worm, or is it only in certain shots where he's on top of it that it's practical?
Yeah, I can't imagine they use a practical one the entire time, but you know, I think yeah,
because there's gonna be multiple of them.
Yeah, there's no way they built multiple practical worms, but yeah, I think it was important at least for like Paul to ride, you know, a worm that was practical. So yeah,
I'm very intrigued. I mean, they didn't talk a whole lot about it, but I mean, other than it's like an epic war film, which yeah, it will be. But
and the trailer drops this summer. I'm hearing. I think. I don't know. Maybe not.
I didn't hear.
No, sorry. I was thinking of Kraven. That trailer will drop this summer.
Okay. Yeah. I don't expect the trailer to drop until
maybe fall.
Yeah, I mean it doesn't come out till November, so.
Oh well, then maybe
early
like,
November,
maybe September they'll drop the trailer.
Maybe a bit sooner.
Could be August.
Yeah.
So summer.
And then the last thing that we want to talk about with CinemaCon is very quickly Wonka.
Yes. Now
another Timothy Chalamet.
I guess you know, one of the funny things I heard about this is that Hugh Grant is playing an Oompa Loompa.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like a CGI'd onto face.
Don't know why, but
look, Hugh Grant. God bless this man.
He just does whatever he wants at this point.
He is killing it right now. I don't care.
D&D movie. He was in Knives Out 2.
Was he?
For like one scene. Remember he was Daniel Craig's husband?
Right. Yeah. I love that man. Yeah. And him as an Oompa Loompa, I'm just so excited to see that. Because I know he's gonna he's gonna have so much fun with that.
But I mean, other than that, did like other like big news drop from Wonka? Or
I mean, apparently it's a musical. There wasn't like,
I guess the first one was, so that's I just roll my eyes at musicals these days.
Why?
It has to be done so well because like
what musical that's come out like in quote unquote these days that you're like, ugh. You had fucking like Tick Tick Boom, which did very well. You had what did Steven Spielberg?
Most musicals, okay? Like I just
Why?
do because the musicals I've seen I don't think are good.
Which ones?
I mean, the biggest one is Chicago. I mean, that is like the biggest piece of crap I've ever seen.
I've never seen that.
It's bad. I mean, I can't name others off the top of my head, I guess. But I would prefer not to see a musical. And I think
I feel like I need to show you more musicals because I feel like maybe you saw like one or two and they were bad and like you've been pushed away from them because musicals are good, Ian. There's a lot of good ones.
Well, you know, I like light musicals where like the music makes sense. You know, like I think Blues Brothers, I don't know if you've seen that movie, but that's like one of my favorites of all time. And that can be considered a musical because there's music every so often in that movie.
Sure.
Like, you know, them playing music, right?
Sure. But
to me, it all makes sense in the movie. So it works.
Like, have you ever seen Les Mis?
No.
Have you seen The Greatest Showman?
No.
I thought I was going to hate that movie. And it's actually amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, we just gotta. But anyways,
we'll see.
Even though it was said that it's gonna be like a musical, it's apparently there wasn't like any of those moments in the trailer that they showed.
Right.
And also that this will be a more hopeful Willy Wonka before he turns into the
kind of a crazy person.
Not crazy, but more like cynical Gene Wilder version. So this is not the going into a Johnny Depp. This is going into Gene Wilder's like original
that's
Willy
great
Wonka.
because I think that's the far superior version of the movie.
I agree. Though I do kind of like bits of that Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I will say, like, I haven't seen that once since I was a kid, and I remember just having a bias against it because I was such a big fan of the original.
Yeah.
So maybe I'd feel differently about it now. But I think for me, it's like this is another movie that's just capitalizing off of the name and a big actor attached to it. And it's like, to me, do I need the origins of Willy Wonka explained? No, I don't. I think this is maybe a little much for my taste, but it could turn out to be a good movie. I don't doubt that. I just don't think it's necessarily needed. You know?
But the thing is that there's no movie that's needed. There's no movie. There's not, like, I don't think you can make an argument that, like, we need a movie. Like, I mean, you could. I mean, I think, like, people that are fans of movies will be like, it's important. We need, like, I could be like, we need an album that talks about this stuff.
Right.
But
right.
I mean, we don't need. Yeah, I agree. We don't need an origin. But clearly, somebody had an idea, and somebody thought, like, the studio thought it was. Now, I'm trying my best not to be cynical about the fact that, like, everything that you said. I'm trying to be
sorry,
hopeful.
I'm so negative.
No, you should be. No, I think I want to be hopeful about it, that it's that somebody had a great idea, and not that it's people like Willy Wonka. Because to me, it does seem a bit weird, but, like, you do see it all the time with other IPs. Like, we just had a Tom and Jerry movie not too long ago, and I was like, who? Yeah, people are still. I mean, I of course I love Tom and Jerry, but, like, is there like a bunch?
Right.
It's just like it's like weird choices like that where I'm like, I could be like, well, are people really wanting, like, so excited to have a new Willy Wonka thing? And it's
seems like a lot of people could be. So
I don't know. Because, like, and I'm like, well, it must be that they have a good idea, as opposed to, like, well, no, it's like we're just gonna cash in on this old IP for some reason.
Like, and here's the thing, I will kind of walk back my musical thing, just for this movie, because I'm remembering the original. It had a lot of music in it.
Yeah,
a lot of music I liked.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Gene Wilder singing that I liked.
Yeah.
So if he can feel if he can feel like a young Gene Wilder, I will probably adore this movie. So
yeah, like, maybe he'll be like, because part of did make me laugh a little bit, because apparently he goes up against the chocolate cartel.
What? The chocolate cartel. Okay.
So
all right.
Well, and then eventually he gets hopeful, and then eventually he turns into, like, gets Timothy Chalamet's, like, you lose. Good day. I would love that. I would love for Timothy Chalamet as Willy Wonka to just, like, start.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to, but they should definitely have some of the old lines that he says, you know?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of more musicals.
Yeah.
We got news that the Agatha Coven of Chaos show will also be a musical, with Catherine Hahn being the lead singer in a lot of it. I guess I didn't know she could sing.
I mean, she sang the Agatha all the time.
You're right.
All along.
So maybe that's why they had the idea for this.
I'm assuming.
Okay, that's interesting. Hey, look, here's the thing with this show. I didn't love it when it was announced.
No. Yeah.
I think this is like, the phase 4 Disney just capitalizing off of, like, the shows that were successful and
kind of going against what they were, which was, like, I think DC used to be super reactionary,
right?
And now it's like,
Marvel is
when At least, maybe not anymore, but like at
least in phase 4 they were.
They were like, oh, this thing, people like this. Let's make a whole show like about Agatha? This character.
Right. Yeah, I mean, even when it wasn't like a huge thing, like they announced the Echo spinoff for Hawkeye.
Yeah.
So
that's a weird one.
That is a weird one, right? But I think this is a very interesting direction. I obviously I don't love the fact that it's a musical. I mean, obviously I just said I don't love musicals, but gosh, I'm trying to find anything positive to say here. I don't know if I do.
I'll have some positive.
Sure.
I will take all the positive.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you.
This is what I'll say.
Yeah.
I think it's, again, Marvel's finding new ways to tell stories. And although I am extremely trepidatious about what this will turn out to be, because I already know that there's going to be a shit ton of fans and that are going to be like, this is garbage. Why do I want to watch a musical of a superhero show? And fair enough. Yeah. There's not a whole lot of that. I don't know if there's ever been musical versions of superhero.
Now, if they release it after Joker Fall You Do and it does well, then I think people might come to this with an open mind.
Sure.
But yeah, go on.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, like, the joke, like, it is interesting that like the Joker thing's happening. Though I do feel like the Joker movie, as much as it is like gonna have musical moments, it's not going to be necessarily a musical.
Oh, really? Okay. I guess I had been hearing that it was like touted as a musical.
That's what I was thinking, but then I like did some reading, and it's like more of like it'll have musical numbers. Okay. I think.
I mean, that's better for me.
I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah.
But I am. I don't know how that's. It is strange. It's like, oh, the MCU is doing a musical show. Maybe like, is it going to be like Glee, where you get like one song an episode? Well, actually, you got more than just one song an episode with Glee. But like,
Glee turned into just like every scene was a musical. Yeah.
So is it going to be like we get a song every episode? Is it going to be like a whole? Because like to be honest, like it could be really dope. Like it could be like really good songs.
It could,
and it could be really dope. Like, and if you go into the creative space of like what WandaVision was, where like every episode was a new take. Like, what if every episode is a new genre or style of musical song, and it's telling a story, and it's like these amazing set pieces? Like, I'm just trying to be hopeful.
Yeah. I guess I just need a reason to follow the story, because the character is a villain that like I don't believe has any larger ties to the MCU at this point.
Well,
so I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, yes, she's a very powerful magic user who was a villain in one season
and is gonna have huge ties to Wanda.
Maybe
because she knows all about the Scarlet Witch.
I'll say this: if they somehow write a way into this show for Agatha to somehow bring Wanda back, then this will maybe be worth it for me. But I don't know if like just some, spin-off, very secluded musical show about a character I'm not like in love with is going to do it for me,
I guess because I'm wanting original stories and just to be excited about things and not needing. You don't
need it to tie to everything, right?
I want, like, I don't mind the connectivity, right, but I'm kind of like, I don't want to be watching movies or these shows and movies just to like further the huge story all the time, I guess. Right. Like, I do want it, but I'm just kind of tired that like we got all this content that very loosely connected to things, and then we have this one movie that was supposed to like connect a bunch of shit, and
which was
basically the whole movie Quantumania was just like to
kind of
like that whole movie was just
to introduce Jonathan Majors. Yeah.
And it was just to do this. It was just to further the story of the whole MCU in a way, kind of.
Sure. So you would just rather it not be so heavily like influenced by the greater
like
MCU.
It just feels like at this point, like it feels like everything has to lead to the next thing, and it's all. It doesn't feel like there's as many individual stories that can be told that can kind of fit in to the larger story in some ways, but like it feels like everything started to be like it has to further this main plot. Because I feel like that's what Quantumania fell really flat was. It really just was furthering the story of the MCU, not anybody. Yeah, there's no
development for anyone in that movie.
At all.
Yeah. So,
and it fell really hard for me.
For me too. Yeah. That's your least favorite MCU movie. It's like a top or a bottom 3 all time for MCU. So for me, at least.
God. Yeah.
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 But, I guess that's the last real topic we had. This week we have another hypothetical we wanted to discuss with you all, but I think Zach's gonna introduce that.
Yeah, so my hypothetical, basically after the Super Mario Brothers movie, I felt like there was quite a few people going around like, what could Nintendo do next? And I thought it's an interesting idea to just, because Nintendo has a bunch of properties that are well known and have great lore, and oh shit, there goes my mic. Nice. I need to stop messing with it. But basically, what if we were in charge of Nintendo? What property would we greenlight next?
Yeah.
I guess I will say 2.
I'll say 2 as well.
And if you have one that is on my list, I may switch to another. But basically, I feel like the easiest one, the one that everybody wants, is Zelda.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Like that, I feel like that.
Do you have a specific game you'd want to pull from? Or just the general idea of like Legend of Zelda?
I think just it would be cool to focus game to game if possible. Like that would be rad. But
yeah, I mean, you'd have to be more concentrated in the lore because it's a little all over the place for Zelda.
Sure.
But yeah.
And kind of as far as I'm aware, like kind of the same plot where like Ganondorf is trying to do some shit and but I think it would be really cool to have. And you'd have to, and I feel like a movie would have to be really creative in the way that it tells its story, because I don't think you should have Link talk. I like Link that doesn't talk.
But here's the thing: it's not like Mario ever had any lines, and he talks throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
So I think you kind of need to have Link talk.
I think there's a way to do it where he's very quiet, and then you have like something like Navi.
Just might be a little awkward,
But I think there's a creative storytelling route that you could go down. Like, okay, let's set this. What's the word? I don't want to say barrier, but this. Let's just put this restriction on ourselves. How do we tell a story where this thing is happening? Because I feel like that's the best way to get. In my experience, when you put limitations, you're like, okay, well, I have to think of a different way to go about it, and then it gets exciting. So I think like having Link, having Hyrule, having Ganondorf, like there's a cool medieval fantasy movie that could be had. And then
for sure, that'd be easy to make.
Although I'm not super familiar with this franchise as much, I do think that from everything that everybody's ever told me about, like Metroid would be super ripe for. I think it's obviously like, I feel like with Link, you could still have like some sort of illumination type design.
Yeah.
But with Metroid, that would be more of something that I could almost see in a live action sense.
I was gonna say, like, I think I might change my answer now, but like one of mine was gonna be Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I was thinking that too, that it would probably be like really like way cooler than anything else to see Metroid in live action. Because like I think, yes, like we got a very beautiful movie with the Mario movie. But I just feel like that character and the concept, like it just screams like gritty live action space movie, you know?
I could still see it in a CGI, but it would have to shy away from like illumination.
Right, like the cutesy stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Because if you want to go cutesy, then I would be like Kirby.
I literally wouldn't go to Illumination for a Metroid movie. That's just not gonna happen.
No.
Yeah.
But if you want to do Illumination, hands down Kirby. Kirby would be like a no-brainer. I would love to see King DDD. I would love to see Kirby. I'd love to see Meta Knight.
That's a good pick too.
But what are yours?
Well, my big one that I want is Luigi's Mansion. I think you could make it a sequel to the Mario movie. But
like, would you have Mario in it, or would it just be Luigi?
Oh yeah, I'd have Mario in it.
Oh, okay. But you would call it Luigi's Mansion, or would you call it Mario Haunted Mansion?
I would probably. I mean, to me, I wouldn't have a problem if they just called it Super Mario Brothers 2. You know, because to me, you're just inversing who's the savior and who's the captured in this movie.
That's true. That is true.
And I think like. Yes, there's like obviously there's not a lot of dialogue in Luigi's Mansion, and it's it's a scarier game than any of the other Mario movie or games. But I think you could make it a much like lighter tone, like make it more comedic, make the ghosts more comedic. I mean, and not like they're all like scary, but a lot of them are funny. But yeah, I think giving like Charlie Day his time to shine as Luigi would be so fun to watch, even though I think he did a really good job in the movie. And yeah, I think you could even add like Daisy as a side character for Luigi to have with him, just like Peach was in this movie.
Yeah.
So I think that could be a really strong sequel idea for Illumination. The other one, I think it would be. I don't think you would necessarily have to base it off of any of the like game stories, because I don't think any of the game stories are that strong. But I think a Pokemon movie could be really well done in a true sense, not like Detective Pikachu, like that we got like 5 years ago now. I think like a true story where like how they're with the new show they're putting out, it's not Ash, it's like a new trainer with new Pokemon. I think you could easily just, make a brand new story in the Pokemon universe and follow a new kid. And I don't know. Yes, we've seen a lot of Pokemon already, but like, Pokemon's cool.
No, Pokemon is cool.
Yeah.
I would love to have like, not that there wasn't like a proper Pokemon movie, because there was. Yeah. Especially like the one where we got like Mew and everything, like incredible.
Yeah, that was a pretty good one.
But well, I would be cool with a new trainer, but having Ash would be ideal.
Ash is nice. Yeah. He's the boy. Yeah. But I think Luigi's Mansion is definitely my first pick. Yeah.
That's a good pick.
Oh, cool.
Definitely a good pick.
Well, we are now going to be reviewing the last 3 episodes of Titans Season 4 Part 2 that came out these past 2 weeks.
Spoilers.
Spoiler alert. Yep. We will be going heavy with those.
Yeah. So for anybody who's a new listener, I've had quite the journey with Titans. I pretty much watched it
December,
as long as we've been doing this podcast.
Yeah.
And I hate it. No.
Well, I mean, that's not far off.
I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Yeah.
But I'm a completionist, and I want to finish this show out. And it's
3 more episodes left.
Is it only 3?
I mean, part one was only 6 episodes, so part 2 should only be 6 too.
Well, so basically, I don't know where we want to start off with this. I mean, but
basically, we come right off the mid-season finale, and basically the goal now is to find the horn of Trigon, and like before Brother Blood and Mother Mayhem do.
Right.
And they're able to find out that it's in this. Do they find out it's in a place called Call's Folly, or they just find out like the location?
So they, because of some thing that Tim said, he was like, "Oh, like this theory about like why the number of the beast is 666. Like, what if we take the numbers in Tamaranian and we like triangulate?" And it was the most it was just the most like over the top insane way of thinking that Titans has like is so good at.
It was because Lex Luthor had left a secret message inside this book, right?
Yeah, and so somehow Lex Luthor had enough time while working with Mother Mayhem, to put this journal inside of solid concrete
in the ground, and
in this temple.
Superboy punches it because he can see it through X-ray, and and
leaves this book of and says that Dick's a detective, so give it to him, and
then there's like a special message for Connor himself, like
which we don't know. And then they go to this Tamaranian.
Right. Oh, and Connor leaves immediately. Oh, he's gone. Yeah. And they don't even try looking for him. They're
Beast
just like,
Boy's in the red.
Yeah.
He just disappears.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah.
And they go to this Tamaranian expert, and it's super weird.
Oh yeah, she was a odd character.
Yeah.
She knew like every language possible, like even other alien languages, I think. So
well, that's what they said, but they mostly just joked that she knew Klingon.
True. But there's just, I will say, like, before we keep going, there's just, and I'm noticing it like these like last 3 episodes a lot, where they just introduce like concept after concept where they're just not explaining it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely it feels right for the show almost, because it's like they have very clearly set themselves in a place in the DC universe where like there are like thousands of heroes, and like the history of DC has been going on for a while, so there's just a lot of crazy shit.
Yeah.
But it's just,
but you still can't just like say this thing and then be like, oh, that happened. Because there's multiple times where the literal characters say,
I don't know. Yeah, like
how did that happen?
With Raven's white new like suit, like she's like, I don't know how that happened.
Just Beast Boy smashed this crystal, and now I have my I don't know.
Although we still haven't seen her use her powers since.
She like released Jinx's spirit, and she was like, I don't know how I did that. I just did.
She has new powers. Right. And she hasn't used that since.
Yeah. And like she did something else.
Yeah. But yeah, so basically they go to the spot, where they think the journal is telling them to go to.
Yeah.
And they find, so the party that's there again gets split up, where Tim Drake is with his new boyfriend Bernard.
Yeah.
And now Raven, Nightwing, and Starfire are all in this fictional town called Call's Folly, which is set up by Mother Mayhem. The town is done okay. It's an interesting vibe that they've like created that's kind of creepy at points, but like doesn't always hit the mark.
I feel like I know what they want to do, but they're just like, they didn't commit enough. Basically,
the town is like controlled completely by Mother Mayhem through a radio tower that's like hypnotizing the town.
Yeah. Yep.
And so the characters get helped by two people who have permanently made themselves deaf to not.
The dad did.
The dad
made him deaf.
Right. The daughter was always deaf, right?
Or had an accident.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but they speak perfectly fine, like nothing has happened.
Right. And so they read lips, apparently. So yeah, basically the town starts to brainwash both, Nightwing and Starfire while they're trying to kill Raven, and
which they have her locked up this whole time.
Yeah, and
they could have killed her at any moment.
But everyone's scared too because she's, the daughter of Trigon. And yeah, so, long story short.
And Sebastian gets the horn.
Right, Brother Blood, yeah.
Very early on.
He gets the horn. And, I'll say this, I'll just, to the sake of brevity here, basically they find out, what's hypnotizing the town. They break Raven free, and, they have to go find the horn. So, nothing was ever done, or, nothing progressed in Call's Folly. It was just a very... I would say it was really for development of Corey and Dick, their relationship. That's pretty much all we got in Call's Folly.
Yeah. I mean,
because basically what happens is that both of them start to lose their memories, and Corey gets hers back by remembering, I guess in her mind was a beautiful memory of her and Dick together.
Right.
So there's definitely development there, but I don't think we needed to spend 2 episodes for that.
Yeah, and I mean, there's just weird things like that. Tim and Bernard go to this radio station where this guy who turns out to be the son of the deaf guy, and the brother of the daughter. And he's been going there for 10 years.
Because he has a feeling of there.
Because he just has a feeling that they're there. And so Tim's like, no,
I trust this guy. He's like, well, he's got a point.
I've got a feeling too.
Right.
And then there's this weird tension for literally one scene where Bernard's like, well, I trust Data.
Right.
So go do your
take your feelings and
he does this petty shit.
Yeah.
And then he leaves, and then he comes back and he's like, oh no, I have a feeling too.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I guess.
And so they just set up this thing to broadcast
music into the town.
And they're like, yeah, I think we're doing something.
Yeah.
Just all off of this feeling. And so you have dumb stuff like that. You have dumb stuff like Dick, who earlier in this season fought ninjas, a ton of ninjas. And then he gets taken down by
3 cops.
3 small town. I mean, sure, they're cults.
Right. They're
cops,
under the brainwashing of Mother Mayhem.
But literally 3 cops, he gets taken down.
Yeah.
And then in one of the newest episodes, he then takes on a whole church filled with cops.
Yeah, I mean,
then takes them all down.
I really like that scene because we really get to see him be the Nightwing badass that I like. But yeah, I mean, it makes that previous scene make no sense. It's just there's no consistency there. And yeah, so I'm glad we're out of Call's Folly because I think that was kind of a waste of time. And the next episode just basically takes us to where Gar was at this whole time.
Yeah.
Beast Boy. And basically this guy called the Freedom Beast, contacted him and was like, hey, at this point in time, you got to ask to take the red. And Beast Boy's like, okay, I'll do it. And he does it. And that's why he split up. And Freedom Beast takes him on this whole journey that shows, Gar who he truly is, who, Niles Calder is, who, helped cure him in the original season. And, basically at the end, he figures out oh, well, my destiny is to be the protector of this thing called the Red, which connects all life in the DC universe, in this show at least.
Yeah. Animal life.
But they it's all life in this one.
Yeah.
Because he connects with people, you know?
Well, animals. No, we are animals. We are mammals.
Okay, I guess. Like it's animals and people. Like, I don't know. Like when you say mammals, people don't think of like we're animals.
But I mean, I do. I mean, like when we says animals, I'm like, okay, so animal life. Because for me, like the red.
What other life are you thinking here?
Well, the green, which is plant life.
Okay.
So the red, in my mind, is just it's the animal equivalent of the green,
right.
Which is also a multiversal travel thing, which like mostly like Swamp Thing's known for.
So that was really interesting.
So we get all these like cameos.
Right. Basically, now Beast Boy, with knowledge of all this, he can travel through the red, which is crazy.
Absolutely insane.
Like, here's the thing. A lot of this episode wasn't like greatly written either.
No. It has some of the funniest music syncs.
Like the superhero one.
They literally
by the script.
God, it is so cheesy.
It's a lot of cheese.
And also there's a moment where these guys are attacking Freedom Beast and Beast Boy, and Freedom Beast is like, no, I'll take care of them.
Right.
And so he takes them all down, and he finally pushes one out of Mount Kilimanjaro, like pushes him like 15, 20 feet out.
Yeah.
And then it's a shot of the town.
Of what town?
The town outside of Mount Kilimanjaro, I guess. I don't know.
So. It honestly looked like it was LA or something.
Yeah. And then it fades to black.
Like 2 seconds later. Like, we have no idea why they shot that shot.
Yeah. And then it just, after it fades to black, it picks up right back to where the previous shot.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a little bit time after where he's just like washing his hands or his face or something. Right. And we're just like,
what was that? Yeah. It was so confusing.
The most bizarre editing choice I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, but it was hilarious. Besides all of that, I am so happy that Gar and / Beast Boy got a full arc. I mean, he got a full episode dedicated to him.
He did.
So
it only took him 4 seasons.
4 seasons. And I mean, and he got a huge power boost, like gigantic.
Yeah.
So. Because it sounds like, he didn't take the helmet, so he doesn't have those powers. But it seems like, he's got this multiversal, travel power now, and we get to see him interact with a few. Like, we didn't get to figure out who he waved to in that portal.
No.
But basically he interacts with Stargirl, which was another previous DC universe streaming show.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool to connect those. We see a bunch of different properties like Grant Gustin's Flash and the Swamp Thing that also came out in the DC universe.
Shazam.
We got animated Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
We got Teen Titans Go Beast Boy.
Right. Yeah. That was weird.
That is weird. Yeah. But eventually he asked to be taken back to his family. And he ends up landing at the Doom Patrol mansion. And
he gets to meet Cyborg.
And he finally gets to meet Cyborg, which was, I think, the highlight of the episode for me, even though they didn't really interact. But I think that's what makes next episode so exciting, even though we just crapped on this show for like 10 minutes. I think like reintroducing Doom Patrol and having an episode with them is going to be very cool. And seeing those two interact would be very cool. So I just hope the next episode's done well, at least.
It's just that I'm sure that the red will tie in to something.
Yeah.
But we have, like you said, maybe 3 or 4 more episodes left.
Yeah.
And this whole episode, like, the whole world is at stake.
Right. And he's just learning about himself.
And this dude just takes him out and is like, no, you're going to do this thing. And he's like, no, I need, like, do you not understand?
Right. The whole world's at stake.
Yeah. And like, it's just, we have only so much time left. And this feels like such a weird time for Beast Boy to be having this thing.
Yeah.
And I just, because like now we've had 3 episodes.
3 episodes since we've come back, and probably only 3 episodes left.
And what's really happened?
Nothing's happened. It's just been, you've developed Gar into a much more powerful character with a purpose, and you developed Corey and Dick's relationship. That's it.
Yeah. And now...
Oh, and Brother Blood has the horn.
And Connor is teaming up maybe with
Brother Blood.
Brother Blood, which I think that's a misdirect. I think he read something from that Lex thing.
I do think he does want to stop, Brother Blood and Mother Mayhem still. I just think he also has his own goals now. So I don't know what those are, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's just a weird ride.
Plus, we still, like, in these next 3 episodes, we still have to, build up Tim Drake into the Robin and have him train with Jason Todd. So
maybe there's going to be more.
There's going to be more than 3 episodes, because it feels like a lot to put in 3 episodes.
It does. It really does.
But yeah, we'll probably come back after the series finale and review these episodes, if it's only 3 episodes left.
Yeah.
So I guess look for that in a few weeks. Yeah.
Get excited.
Get excited for that. But this is the time of the podcast where we talk about stuff we watched this week. Did you watch anything?
I've just been continuing to watch Succession and Barry. I don't really need to say more about Succession. It's still like fantastic, but nice. I will say about Barry. Last week I was saying that it feels like a different show, and that I'm kind of curious as to where
I've been hearing a lot of that like it feels so different. Yeah.
I take it all back.
Okay.
Not that it's not a different show, because it is, but this last episode was like kind of a return to form.
Oh, that's nice.
And I was like, yeah, that's the Barry that like makes like where it was like, it's only 30 minutes, but I'm constantly like, holy shit, did they just do that? Like over and over and over. And it's like, it's so fucking funny, but it's also so fucking dark and serious. So that's incredible.
Yeah.
And still watching a bunch of Top Gear specials.
Nice.
So, yeah.
I mean, the only thing I've been watching besides, us going to Batman in concert this past weekend, which was a fantastic night.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I saw it at the Warner Theater in DC, and that was a beautiful venue. But yeah, and then hearing the orchestra was beautiful as well. But I've been watching the new season of Perry Mason.
Oh yeah.
First 3 episodes I think I've watched so far. I mean, here's the thing. I think it's pretty good. It's not as good as last season yet. It's really weird because they replaced the 2 like writers / showrunners of the show who like created it basically. And so now it's 2 different guys who are making the show in season 2. So you can tell like certain characters feel a little different than they did in season 1. And some of the writing for the mystery just isn't. It's just not as strong, and it feels like they're trying to place like every single character that was important in season 1 and like some role in season 2. So I'm hoping it gets better, but like at this point, like Perry Mason season 1 is far better than season 1. Maybe not. Maybe that's a little harsh, but it's definitely better. But
it's
a little disappointing.
A disappointment.
But I'm hoping that the rest of the season really carries and like has a really well done mystery to it. Because the first couple episodes definitely was just like setting us up back to get us back to where we were in season 1. You know, it was like the Mandalorian in like the first episode where it was like setting us up to get back to where like we should be.
I mean, is it like we're getting back to like the main plot?
We're getting back to like a main plot, you know, like it's a different plot from the first season.
Because I'm just under the impression that, because I know nothing, that it would just be a new mystery.
It's a new mystery, but like the characters have to get back to a point where they're like ready for doing that mystery.
Yeah, okay.
Right, yeah.
So it's like a Sherlock sort of situation.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I guess you're right. In like seasons 3 and 4, they kind of do that where they like catch us back up.
Like their personal stuff just gets in the way. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that makes me
here's the thing.
Maybe want to still watch it.
I think you should, because season 1 on its own is such a beautiful, like, well put together thing that doesn't need like the continuation of a season 2, you know?
Okay.
So I'd still recommend season 1.
So I could still treat it like a mini series.
You could, absolutely. And it's only 8 episodes for season 1.
I know it's only 8.
But they're like an hour long each.
No, it's just like, I was like, why can't it be 12?
It's a really, like, it doesn't feel short, at least to me.
Right.
So, yeah.
Okay.
It's good.
All right.
But yeah, that's all the two of us have watched this week. We wanted to thank you all for listening up to this point in the podcast. If you made it this far, we greatly appreciate you. Hopefully you enjoyed all the CinemaCon topics this week. If you want to listen to us in the future, we drop on Fridays and Saturdays. But if you want to listen to us as well in the future, we drop on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean, and other, podcast platforms in the future. We are also at LastWeekThisWeekPod on our socials on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. If you want to watch our reels and shorts and other stuff we make, then check us out there and follow us. But if you also want to just support us because you like what you heard today, we would greatly appreciate a comment, a like, a rating on any of these platforms if you like us and like what you hear.
Yeah, definitely ratings. Ratings would be good.
Yeah, we've gotten a couple so far, but we always appreciate more ratings.
Yeah, which is kind of the fastest way to let us know what people think. Definitely still, if you want to comment on like YouTube videos, if that's your preference.
Yeah, I mean, we love the engagement, and I think Zack has a really good time talking to people.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time. I just got a notification that somebody said cringe takes. So
gotta love it. Yeah. So a couple of cringy guys.
I welcome it. I welcome all all of it.
All criticisms, all positivities.
Yeah. But thank you very much for listening. Until next time.
Yeah.